Hey guys, it's your girl Aisha, aka geekxxchic, and I am back with another reaction to The Gifted. This is episode 11, which is called moMento. And I apologize, I know this reaction is out a bit late, but last week was a bit chaotic and I just was behind on a lot of my editing, so I recorded some stuff, but you know, editing just did not happen as quickly as I would have liked. So I'm getting to this reaction now and I'm super pumped about it. Based on what we just saw on the recap, we're gonna come back to the people of the sewers, aka Erg and the Morlocks. We haven't seen them for about 3-4 episodes now, but it looks like this episode is gonna bring them, you know, back to the surface in some way. I can't think that what Reva did with releasing all of the mutants that were imprisoned, like I knew that that was gonna have a massive ripple effect on the mutant world, whether they were choosing to be part of the world or choosing to hide from it like the Morlocks were. So it's interesting. I think it's going to be good to see what other mutant groups who have not taken the same militant stance as either the Underground or the Inner Circle would feel about this. We also had a little flashback again of the music box that the doctor, I can't remember her name right now, gave to Lauren, saying it belonged to her great-grandmother. So a lot of you commented in the comments. I didn't make a comment on it on that episode, but Lauren did seem oddly drawn in by the music box, so there might be a little bit more to what it looked. It might be more than meets the eye as far as what it is and what it's capable of. The show pretty much, I'd say since maybe the 3rd or 4th episode, has really been making it clear to us as an audience that the Fenris thing and the Von Strucker kids, they have this connection that is bigger than what either of them really understand. And even though they're not necessarily on the same page as far as how they want to morally go about this whole mutants and humans interaction, they are still joined by this force that neither of them fully understand. So I think it's something that they're definitely going to have to deal with at some point. So without further ado, let's get into this episode, and like always, we will chat about it after. Okay? Let's boot.
Picking up a custom order, Andreas von Strucker.
Mr. Von Strucker.
Why do I know him?
Of course.
Why do I know this actor? Where do I know you from? He's put on weight, that's why I don't recognize him. Who is he?
Time is over. We have the ice now. You and your little rink rants must leave.
Everything we wanted for our people are in that box.
Mr. Von Strucker.
That's
It's not
deep.
for sale.
Okay.
The secret is safe with me.
It will be, because he's about to kill you. I knew as soon as you said that, dude, you signed your death warrant. Yo, you can channel Fenris? Damn, G! And he did it by himself.
He's obsessed with that music box. With Fenris.
She'll be okay. Look, if we're
Okay, the
really
one
gonna
person
bring
you probably
down
shouldn't
this
trust
stuff,
about
she
mutant
needs to be
things is
present.
your human wife on this one. I'm sorry, Reed.
Clarissa.
Just shush, Kate. I wonder if it affects, it doesn't seem to be affecting Reed, which is interesting.
Who needs training?
Okay, dude, she's not talking about your powers. Clearly you know how to use those. It's the whole working in a group thing. Oh, they already do that. Well then, I take it back. I spoke too soon.
This is the crew that took down the Ignatius cruise ship. Thousands of people died. They're mass murderers.
Really? This bothers you now, Lorna? Okay.
Their job is to destroy. Yours is to build from the ashes.
Oh, okay. That makes you so much less guilty. Go ahead and sleep at night, Lorna.
You will see.
Listen, we need to talk about what happened.
In my office.
I can't let anyone know that I'm part of a hate group in public. Wow, she does not turn that thing off. I wonder what it's telling her. Murder everyone. Sleep with your brother because it's gross. Okay. Oh, she's learning through dreams. Okay, someone's gonna lose a head or something. This isn't good. Maybe we'll just leave. Destroy the box. Destroy the music box immediately. Break it. Burn it. Oh, Reed, use your powers. Just melt that. We're the neighbors. We had some weird light blade come through and cut all of our shit up.
Hey, Mr. Rail. Everything okay?
No!
You tell me. I got calls from your neighbors about noise. I'll tell Lila. Hope she feels better.
Thanks. Thanks, Omar.
Look at you just casually touching people with your danger hands, Reed. You have a nerve.
I built this chapter and all I get is a text. Okay, hold on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you not get the memo that no one
shut you
cares
out,
about you? Yeah. Okay, bye.
The leaders of the Dover station fled for Canada. There's a couple of mutants left, but they got no combat powers.
That's the place to go, man. We chill in Canada. None of this nonsense is happening up there.
Okay, will you just listen?
No, it's time that you listen.
Right?
You decided to leave me for the inner circle. And you decided that I didn't get to be there when Dawn was born.
Thank you.
And then you decided to give her away. And then you decided to kiss me out of nowhere and then leave again.
Yep. Lorna show.
Enough.
Yeah. Good for you, Marco.
She's planning something terrible.
Duh.
Seriously? What, your race war isn't turning out like you'd hoped?
Exactly.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh.
How I treated you was wrong.
Now you're apologizing
because
because you want something.
Her powers are changing. She's becoming more violent, more powerful.
Maybe that's not entirely bad. If Lauren's stronger.
Andy.
Jeez, who's the Von Strucker in this family? I'm starting to think it's Kate.
My family. It's about an evil force that steals children. And the parents who ignore it.
Thank you, Reed. Talking sense for the first time all season. Oh, and now you get your gun drawn. Okay. Wow, Jace. You're gonna run after a young black boy with a gun. At least the new guys have good music taste. Go on. Yes! Like a boss. Well done. I like that she can do it from afar. Did he do that or did she do it? Go on. I don't hate this. I honestly don't. But Marcos is so not over Lorna yet.
It's your ex, isn't it?
It's messy as hell, girl.
So feelings for her.
It's a lot more complicated than that. No, she treated me like garbage, and she tore the world to pieces.
Thank
and
you.
now I don't know anything.
Why did you run?
Because you're purifiers?
Thank
You don't
you.
like the Klan.
Exactly.
My granddaddy didn't need a reason to run for the Klan. Neither did yours.
The tea is scalding. Reminded Jason he's black. Thank you. Thank you. What? This is what you wanted. You just, how many buckshots did you put into John?
He came at me, and
Wow. The allusions to this, to what really happens in the real world right now, y'all, is triggering.
Looking like he was ready to attack.
Wow.
And
Knew it.
Officer Wilson stood his ground.
Trash. Complete trash.
We're in this situation because of me.
Oh. Self-reflection?
It's my fault.
She's growing.
I treated you terribly.
Thank you.
I just want you to be safe.
You know you can care about someone and know that they're really bad for you at the same time. Okay, relax. Dawn doesn't need a sibling quite yet. Let's just dial this down. But I don't mind y'all at least not fighting actively at the moment. Y'all need to work together for sure. Work. Work.
What would have happened if Jace Turner and Ted Wilson?
Oh no, listen to it, Jace. This is your mess, is it not? This is what you want. So listen, revel. Isn't that what you want?
I love you. But I gotta go.
If there is even a shred of decency left in you, Jace, you will leave that woman alone. That's all I have to say. He's already canceled.
It's hard for me to be this close with someone. I get scared to lose someone else that I love.
Oh, L word.
Hello.
John,
It's Evangeline.
I'm gathering the regional leaders of the underground for our meeting.
Qual?
Gathering the people. You ready?
Is about to go dig it down? Is that what we're hearing?
It's Evangeline. She's gathering the underground to fight.
Okay, she didn't say that, but I'm hyped.
Es ist schade, dass wir die ersehnte Zukunft nicht mehr sehen werden.
Wait, she can read German?
Dieses hinterlassen wir fortzusetzen.
So they planned on having like clones or something made. Okay. Frightening. So she can do Fenris without
Lila.
maybe?
Shoot anything.
I won't do anything. I swear to God.
I know you won't. Because in this world, anyone can be a mutant. You don't know who they are. You're never safe.
Oh, Lauren. Oh, she's working with Paul Ryan. Nice.
What is Reva doing with Benedict Ryan?
Good question. Making sure to put fuel on the fire.
I don't know.
But you know what's going on. You picked the right team, right, Lorna? You did all your research. Oh, right, you didn't. Okay, well, y'all, that was episode 11, which was called moMento, and that was good. That was a nice tonal shift that we got in this episode. I feel like we should have had this tonal shift maybe 3-4 episodes ago, but it's here, so I'm not completely upset. Yeah, this was good. Again, not a ton of action in this episode, but we had a lot of moral and political and ethical things come up in this episode. And as I said, I said this a lot more last season, but one thing I've always liked about this show is that it talks about a lot of things that we deal with right here, right now in the real world, but they puts it into this fictitious setting where we can kind of have more, I guess you could say, open discussions about it without necessarily doing finger pointing like you might in the real world. And I feel like this episode definitely came back to the roots of that idea of discussing some of the deeper moral and, like I said, those issues that this show is always kind of tap danced on the line of. So the title of the episode, moMento, clearly kind of referring to the music box and by extension the ripple effect that it's having in this world, this time. And what I think I enjoyed, one of the things I enjoyed the most was actually seeing a little bit more about the Von Struckers, the actual Von Strucker twins. We've only heard about them, we've seen a few articles, we haven't really seen it through the eyes of the Von Struckers. And while I don't agree with how they decided that basically they were going to do things the way that they were going to do it in the sense of hurting or killing anyone that got in their way, it is always good to understand the method behind someone's madness, right? Because they clearly didn't just do it because they were like, ooh, we were born and we decided to be evil. Like, they clearly had some reasoning behind why they did what they did or why they felt they needed to do what they needed to do. And obviously, they haven't talked about it much in this show, but I think we can infer that the mutant issue, as far as mutants versus humans, has been around for as long as mutants have been exposed. So what they would have had to deal with when they were growing up, especially having powers as big as theirs, they definitely probably felt cornered more than once about people probably trying to either kill them or separate them or something. And of course, they chose a very violent and bloody path to what they thought was the answer. And, we can get into it. We'll get into it. There's a few things I really want to bring out about this episode in general, because honestly, I could go on and on about the controversial things that are in here, but that's not really what I want to get into, because the show is really for entertainment purposes, of course. So that's where we should try to keep it kind of lighter and not get too crazy with it. One of the things that came out in the beginning when Lorna, because obviously Lorna, we know that Lorna's been struggling with a lot of the things that the inner circle is choosing to do. Not so much the vision, as I said. She still doesn't have an issue with the vision of an idea of a mutant homeland. And again, by extension, I think we can say that what Lorna is looking at is that she wants more than anything to have a place where she and her daughter and her lover and anybody else can be happy and safe and live their lives without having to worry constantly about somebody coming for them because they're mutants. Completely understandable. The mutant homeland, in my opinion, though, is not the right answer. And I think that's what is being put out there throughout this season, is that you understand where Lorna's coming from, and she is definitely the voice of any group or people or whatever that has been oppressed because of whether it's because of their skin color, because of their religion, or because of their gender, or because of whatever. You understand where people have gone through a lot, especially when it's been a constant barrage of oppression. You understand where they get to a point sometimes where they're just like, I don't care what happens to anyone who's not me or like me. I want to be left alone by any means necessary. However, as I've said so many times in so many reviews, it's not as simple as just trying to go someplace and be alone. Like, that doesn't work. The world is the world. This is one planet. And yeah, we've got a few things separating us, like some rivers and oceans, but really we're all one planet. With every passing year, we're becoming more and more connected, more and more accessible. So there's no such thing as being able to be isolated and remote anymore. That just doesn't exist. So we have to learn to coexist. We have to learn to realize that we're not all that different. Like, what we should be looking at is what makes us similar, not what makes us different. So anyway, in the beginning, we saw that Lorna went to Riva and she's like, why are you bringing these guys who she knows are responsible for a massacre, which is the first time we've heard of this massacre. But clearly it was something where it sounds like they sunk an entire ship of people and they were families. Like, it was not discriminate. And Lorna, it was obviously, she was bothered by it. She considered it an atrocity. When she talked to Riva about this, like, why are we bringing in people who have no issues with killing anybody, anywhere, anytime? And Riva just simply said, you know, founding nations, you know how nations are founded. And that's referring to the statement that people say that any nation or new whatever has been founded in blood. And that has been true primarily of the colonizing nations of the West. They have definitely been the ones who founded through blood. And that might be the only way that has been done in living memory, but that doesn't mean it's the right way. People always think just because it's the only way that's been done, it's the only way it should be done. That's not necessarily true, because we all know, if you want to even take America, for example, it was definitely founded on blood, but it was the blood of Native Americans. It was the blood of people, of slaves that were brought over forcibly brought over to help them forge this new nation. Like, it's not a good history for anyone who's not a Western European. Two different histories. I mean, if you're a white European, you just think it's a sacrifice because it wasn't necessarily your people that had to be sacrificed. But when it's, you know, the ancestors, those of us who have ancestors who had to die for this new colonization, this new world, it's not the same viewpoint, and it's understandably not one that is celebrated or happy. The whole idea there, you know, that I'm glad at least to see that Lorna, I mean, I've said it since the beginning, and I know some of you have brought out, you think that I'm being harder on Andy than I am on Lorna for the same thing. But this episode, I think, brings out why I don't come for Lorna as much as I come for Andy about motivation. I haven't been happy with Lorna all season. You know that. I've called her out on numerous occasions on the way she's treated Marcos in particular, and how she's handled the whole Dawn situation. But the difference with Lorna, and I've seen it since the beginning, is she doesn't revel in hurting people. Despite her history, she's got a dad who's done some pretty atrocious things, and she could easily kind of blame some of her behavior on her condition, but she doesn't do that. She really genuinely doesn't necessarily want to go out of her way to hurt people. Will she hurt people who've hurt her or who are trying to hurt her? Yes. She has no issue with that. But you even think about the plane crash, the Trask plane. She could have made that a very long and painful experience, but she crashed the plane. Still not right, but she was more like, I just want to end it. I'd rather just kill them. Something quick, most likely painless, over. I'm not going to revel in it. I don't want to sit here and torture these people. She's never really wanted to be part of anything that was going to cause people extended pain and suffering. Whereas Andy, again, as I said in the last episode, the fact that he took pleasure in torturing someone, again, not arguing that his reaction was wrong, or not wrong, I shouldn't say, that his reaction wasn't understandable. Most of us would have a knee-jerk reaction like that. But the fact that the motivation, again, the fact that he enjoyed inflicting this pain on another human person, like, that takes a strip out of your soul. I don't care what you say. It's not a normal human thing to inflict pain on another person. It just isn't. It literally kills you inside because it's not a natural thing. As humans, we are built to love. We're not built to hate. So that's why it takes so much out of us to be that way. And so the fact that Andy was actually trying to draw joy from this, not trying to, he was drawing joy from hurting someone else. And even after he did it and he went back to his family, he was ready to, you know, pat himself on the back about it. That's problematic. Whereas Lorna, as we saw, like after the death of all those people in that room, she did not try to absolve Crazy Becky from what she did in that room. She was constantly saying, no, she's nuts. What she did was wrong. Lorna, the girl who actually has a diagnosed medical disorder, who also has gone through similar things that Crazy Becky has, knew enough not to kill a room full of people. She knew where the guilt lied. She knew where the fault lied in that situation. So my point is, that's the difference I see, is that Lorna's never reveled in the dirty work. And we saw when Riva even said to her, oh, you're going to be part of the rebuilding, Lorna. You don't have to get your hands dirty. I'm bringing these guys in because I know that you don't want to do all the messy stuff. But once that's all done, you can come in and just be like the whitewashed angel who's gonna bring it all back up. That's not the way, but that's not the way it works, right? We know that that's not the way it works. And thankfully, I'm so glad that Lorna wasn't okay with that, because I wasn't sure. To be honest, I wasn't sure if Lorna would have been like, oh, okay, well, if I don't actually get my hands dirty, then I'm okay with it. But thankfully she realizes it doesn't work that way. You can't just, paint something shiny over the rot of something. It's still rotten underneath. You can paint gold over garbage, but it's still garbage, albeit golden garbage, right? So Lorna recognized that whatever she was building after this would be built literally on pain, suffering, and blood, and there's just nothing fruitful that will come from that. I'm glad that we saw Lorna just be like, you know what, no, I can't do it. This is my line. And I feel like the whole thing, like, this kind of rolls right into, let's just talk about Lorna and Marcos again, because we had the little kiss between them in the last episode. And remember, I ranted a bit about how, I mean, Lorna just let Marcos be, let the man just try to heal himself because he's trying, it's driving him nuts. But we saw that Lorna's actually reflecting on it a bit. She's clearly very much in her feelings about Marcos. And I never denied that she loved Marcos. I don't think it was ever a question to me that she had love for him, but that love is not as good or as deep as it could be, because the fact that she could dismiss his feelings and dismiss how much pain she was inflicting on him for the sake of what she wanted, that's not a healthy love. I'm glad that at least I said this before, that I'm not really about Marcos and Lorna getting back together, at least until Lorna acknowledged that she has been awful to Marcos and willfully that way. And in this episode, they kind of rushed it. I feel like this should have happened earlier, as I mentioned, but we could have maybe brought this over a couple of episodes, but this felt very rushed. And because we had Lorna needing Marcos's help, it kind of rang a little bit. It didn't ring as true as it probably should have, because I just kind of got the feeling like, is Lorna really saying this because she means it, or is she saying it because she knows it's what Marcos needs to hear to get him to work with her? You know what I mean? Like, it just felt like there was a ulterior motive behind this. Like, maybe she wouldn't have done it unless she realized that Riva was going to do this. And again, I could be wrong. Maybe she was planning to do it all along, but I feel like they could have maybe edited that a little bit better in these episodes to not make her look so calculating. And again, I want to believe that it's not, but just the way it was shown in this episode, it very much looked like she did all of that, not because she really felt that way, but because she knew that Marcos needed to hear it so that he would be fully on board with helping her. I'm glad we got it. Either way, I am happy that we have finally had Marcos stand up to her and say, no, I'm not hearing what you have to say. We're not doing things Lorna's way. I'm speaking my mind, and I'm going to tell you that you've been awful and that you've unilaterally made all these really huge decisions about us and our child without consulting me. And it's not okay, and I don't want to play by these rules anymore. I'm so glad we finally got that. I think the writers finally heard. I mean, I'm sure they wrote this months ago, but, the writers have been hearing us saying that we're sick and tired of Marcos just being Lorna's, floor to walk all over, basically. And then conversely, I'm glad we got Lorna acknowledging. As I said, the first apology was a little bit like, okay, she kind of just said it because Marcos was mad. But later on, when she could see that Marcos was clearly very despondent and out of it and discombobulated about this whole situation, I'm glad she finally was like, no, really, I was awful to you. I was terrible. You were right. Like, the way I treated you was not fair. And it's not something I'm proud of. And like, that's what Marcos kind of needed to hear. Whether or not it's going to be enough to carry them through as a relationship going forward is still up in the air. But at least they can have a foundation to have a healthy relationship if Dawn should ever come back in the picture. Because I was always worried that when Dawn came back, if these two can't resolve this type of stuff between them, it was always going to be a really awkward and weird situation with their family. So it looks like the two of them hooked up again, but I feel like last episode kind of led us to believe that that was going to happen. I think they both needed to get that out of their system. Whether or not that's going to keep going forward, we'll see. But I feel like it seems like Lorna is on the way to completely defecting from the inner circle as it is right now. Do I think she's completely given up on the vision that the inner circle had? No, but I do think she realizes that going there via the way that Riva and whoever else is part of the inner circle are going about it, she's not down with that. And so I think she's going to continue to work with the underground as it is right now to bring down Riva's version of the inner circle, but I don't know that she's going to return to the underground as it is. And it also makes me really wonder where things are going to stand with her and Andy, because Andy was only in this episode for a few minutes, but what we did see was him, again, seemingly perfectly fine with being back with the inner circle and super pumped about the new guys that are there. Now, again, Lorna did not tell Andy who these people were, but I honestly don't think Andy would care at this point. I'm wondering how it's going to work. Like, we see Lorna defecting. How is Andy going to take it? Would Andy turn on Lorna when he recognizes that she's not on board with the inner circle thing anymore? I don't know. At this point, I wouldn't put it past Andy. He just seems to be, like I said, if it's about hurting people and pain and suffering, Andy seems to be about it at the moment. So let's move into the whole Jace thing. There's not a lot to say, let's be real. Jace is trash. I mean, Jace has been canceled since pretty much the beginning of this season, but it was solidified in this episode that, yeah, he's trash. Like, I think the writers are making it abundantly clear for anybody who thought there was a redemption arc for Jace. I think it's safe to say it's not going to be there. It's just not. He is definitely being framed up to be one of the biggest anti-mutant baddies or antagonists that this show or this series will have. We saw this episode, he is working with Paul Ryan just like this. His little crazy lackey there is realizing that he's getting pushed out because, let's face it, he's not very bright. He's just a hick with a gun. We saw Jace ready to get into action, ready to do more, you know, put the hurting on. We heard him last episode. He wants to kill the underground and everybody associated with it, because why not? You know, that's what people do when you're just, you know, a mindless revenge machine. We saw, of course, thankfully, I don't know if I say thankfully, but Paul Ryan guided Jace away from the personal vendetta to be like, listen, let's not worry about them. Let's worry about the bigger issue of all these free mutant criminals, which I hated to admit it, but he actually had some sense in that. He's like, there are a lot of mutants right now that are criminals that are free, kind of a bigger issue than this small group of people that ticked you off once. But now, as we saw at the end of this episode, that might have been a favor for Reva, right? We now know that him and Reva are working together, and it makes sense because Reva and Paul and Paul's people would have the same goal, right? Paul Ryan and his, you know, purifiers and rednecks and everybody else, they want a mutant-free world. Reva wants a world with no humans. So it makes sense, like, it's both two sides of the same coin of hate, if that makes sense. They both are realizing they could help each other out, where, like, if, you know, if he continues to incentivize not a word, but I'm making it one. Incentivize. If he continues to incentivize humans to hate mutants or not to trust mutants, and conversely, she keeps riling up the mutants to hate humans, it's gonna just ideally cause this natural rift where the mutants will want to all go to the homeland, pardon me, and all the humans will want them to leave. And it makes sense. From a strategic point of view, it sounds like it should make sense. But what they're both not taking into account is that, you know, people rarely go according to plan, and people are not all the same. Not everyone views this whole situation the same. And we've got people like people in the underground, like the X-Men, who don't believe that mutants and humans have to be separate. And so those are always going to be the fly in the ointment of these types of plans. But very interesting that we got to see that. And of course we saw it there. Y'all, I want to give all the snaps in the world to the writers, because I wasn't sure if they were going to do it, because the writers don't often bring actual race into the show. Like, whenever they refer to race in the show, they typically only keep it to the mutants, which I'm okay with, because Lord knows that America's dealing with enough race issues right now that we don't need it constantly put in front of us, even when we're trying to enjoy a television show. However, in the case of Jace Turner, I kind of feel like it almost felt like they kind of had to. Like, it was an opportunity that, again, I would have been mad if they chose not to take it. But Jace, who is a black man in America, joining a hate group that is targeting a group of people based on a genetic trait that they cannot control or change. I mean, the irony is a little too much to ignore in that situation. And I am so glad that in this episode they finally decided to have that little brother in there look Jace right in his face and say, my brother, you are here with a bunch of people who are basically the Klan except for mutants. And you're asking me why I ran when I saw a white redneck come in here with a gun? You're wondering why I ran? Really? I mean, I know you light-skinned, but I can't think that you're that ignorant, my brother. I am so glad. Oh my God, I couldn't have snapped louder at that with him finally bringing it out. Like, our ancestors did not have to ask no questions about why we ran from the clan, or even now. And your ancestors wouldn't have asked me this question either. Remind yourself where you come from. And you saw it in Jace's face. Like, he was like, oh damn, I have no good retort for this, because there isn't. There's really no good retort for what Jace was doing. The only, like I said, the only redeeming quality I may give Jace, although I still have thrown him away, is if he does keep his wife out of this. If he has any decency left, as I said in the episode, he will let that woman live her life without him, because he is going down a very dark, dangerous road, and she does not need to be part of that. She doesn't deserve that after everything. And then I guess finally, let's talk about Lauren in the music box. I know that I think this is why a lot of you guys were so eager for me to do this reaction. People have been watching Lauren since the beginning of the season and seeing how she's been reacting to everything, and pretty much since they went to the clinic where they were trying to develop the mutant cure, we've really seen Lauren's attitude take more of a dark turn. And she definitely is more about getting stronger. Even before the music box, she was focused on getting her powers improved. I think her interaction with Andy and seeing how much stronger he'd become when she hadn't been. Because you remember back in season 1, Lauren was the girl who was really progressing with her abilities, and she was way ahead because of course she knew about her mutation for years, and Andy was the one that was kind of fumbling with it. And now Andy's kind of surpassed her, and I think that that's really kind of, you know, it's poked her in the pride a little bit, that he's kind of gone past where she was when she's already had like a 2-year advantage with her powers. So I think she's very, like I said, I think her pride was hurt. I think she's very determined to at least get up to speed with Andy, so she can't just be tossed aside like she was in their first altercation together. But this music box, clearly she doesn't know that the music box has extra modifications, whatever those are, something to do with that melody, I would assume. I'm wondering if Andy is getting any of the effects of this though. I'm assuming not, because it seems like her dreams are about the past now instead of Andy, but I am a little terrified of Andy having access to this knowledge, but I can't think he's not going to get it somehow. But we saw that it is affecting her in a certain way. We know that the Struckers, the Von Struckers, definitely had a very strong opinion on feeling like mutants were superior and that humans were not. And that was kind of what caused a lot of the issues that they had with the X-Men and with humans and everything else. And we see some of that somewhat rubbing off on Lauren. I think it's impossible for it not to. She's taking it in, like fully taking in their thoughts, their feelings. She's feeling the same emotions that her ancestors did. So it's gonna invoke certain things in her. And we're seeing at the moment, I think, a little bit of a war between what she knows to be right up here and how she's feeling down here. And it'll be interesting to see throughout the season, or at least until the end of this season, how she's gonna deal with that. She's saying she's in control right now, but then we saw that little scene at the end with her walking up to the landlord, who did clearly call the cops and threaten him. And at this point, I'm gonna say the jury's out. I'm not happy about the fact that she did that, because obviously it's not gonna do anything to help him believe that mutants aren't harmful. But I guess the difference to me, because I know some people are gonna be like, oh, see what Lauren did? Lauren did exactly what Andy did. How come you're not yelling at Lauren? It's a subtle difference, but it's a difference all the same. At the moment, this is the first incident we've seen. Andy, someone wronged him, endangered a family member, and his response was to break both his legs and an arm, mock this man, smile and laugh, and continue to cause him permanent damage and pain. That was Andy's response. Lauren had a person do essentially the same thing. Maybe he didn't exactly pull the trigger, but he called the cops knowing that the cops right now are pretty much putting bullets in mutants before asking questions. Endangered her, endangered her family. Lauren shows up, what did she do? She issued a warning, broke a table, broke a TV, and then she threatened him. That's the only part of what happened there that I had the biggest issue with, when she was like, you know, you're never safe. Like, that was very menacing of her to say. But the difference is she didn't physically harm that man. She destroyed some property that he can easily get replaced. That is the difference to me between Lauren and Andy. Andy hurt somebody. He did something that was, like I said, completely unnatural by torturing and hurting someone, and took pleasure in it. Lauren destroyed some stuff, put the fear of God into this man, but did not hurt the man. Both could argue that neither are necessarily productive in the general scheme of acceptance of mutants. However, the difference is that Lauren had a line she didn't cross so far. Andy blew past that line. far beyond that line. So that's what I'm saying the difference is, and this is what I'm trying to communicate. And I know some people are just never gonna see it my way, and that's okay. But that is my big difference. Intention means a lot to me. Actions, we all do stupid things. We all make decisions that we regret or probably shouldn't have. But there's a big difference between making a poor decision in a moment versus continuously making poor decisions because our motivation and our thought process and our morals are in a completely crazy place, in my opinion. You know, that's the great thing about this world. People are allowed to believe what they believe and think what they think and whatever. But, you know, we also have the ability to disagree with that. I don't agree with the way that Andy thinks and the way he goes about things, or the way that Reva's thinking and the way she's going about handling the things that have happened to her. Lauren, as I said, I don't think she necessarily should have gone and terrorized the man. But again, big difference between not hurting the man himself. Now, this is early. This is probably the darkest thing we've seen Lauren do. But as she said to her dad, she enjoys getting stronger. She likes the idea of feeling more in control of herself and her powers, and I don't blame her for that. And Reed, some of what he's saying I know is definitely coming from a place of him being scared of his powers, his own powers. He still hasn't accepted his own mutation yet, and I think it's still filtering through to the kids. But I am very worried about how Caitlin is just pushing Lauren along right now, because once again, it's suiting Caitlin's agenda, not necessarily what's best for everyone. Like, this is what we see Caitlin do all the time, and this is where I'm thinking Andy must have gotten it from. And Kate does have this tendency to just say, screw everything except for what I want, whenever it suits her mission. And that's what she's been doing with Andy, having these blinders on where he's concerned. And like, you keep hearing her say things like brainwashed and influenced. She just refuses to accept the fact that Andy is making his own choices as far as staying with the inner circle. Either way, I just think it's a little bit dangerous that Caitlin is just pushing Lauren at the moment because it's fitting her agenda to get Andy back. That's really the only reason she's so happy to push Lauren along at the moment. If this was not the case, if Andy was there, I promise you she'd be right on the same page with Reed, trying to reel them in, because that's what she was trying to do all season 1, if you remember. Anyway, overall, it's interesting to watch Lauren as she's going through this evolution. I'm not sure where it's gonna take us with her, but I am eager to see where it goes. Guys, just like I said, good episode. Talked a lot because there was a lot of, like I said, moral and deeper issues that were kind of touched on and brought out in this episode, but overall, really good. Also, just a teeny shout out to the cuteness between John and Blink. That was super, super cute to see them kind of make up and talk about the fact that they've both been a little bit hard-headed in this relationship, and that both of them are doing it because they're scared of falling in love with each other and caring about someone and potentially losing them. So that was super cute, and I'm hoping that they can stay on track going forward, because Erg and living in the sewers is just a no. So what did you guys think of this episode? How do you feel about the whole dark turn that Lauren seems to be making, and how far do you think she's gonna take it? Or do you think she's gonna go all the way? Please leave your comments below. I love reading those comments and getting involved in the conversation with you. And if you like this video, guys, please click like. And if you want to see more from this geeky face, please click subscribe. Until next time, see ya.